All right, so I'm just gonna be reviewing this first half. This first map of Lijiang with the Strontia. You have the main point of view I'll be looking at is this blue team right over here, and I won't be uh, paying so much attention to the red team. I will comment a little bit on both, but the main focus is, of course, going to be over here. So nothing really wrong with the compositions right now. Just pretty standard. You have the standard Ryan Zario, and then Hanzo, and then you can follow it up with a second projectile or second hit scan. Um, Farah really good on this map. I see no problem here. Um, Brigitte is really strong right now, so that's really good. Not saying it's wrong. You can run a mercy. What you can do to improve kind of like the initial push on this map. So because whoever gets to this whoever gets to this zone right here first gets to kind of establish their footing first, and that's always a good thing. So I'm not downplaying anything right now. So don't take it as that way. But something that you can do, and I'll try to map it out as really as possible, like as kind of like without being over in your spawn. So imagine their spawn is right here, and you're gonna go out this way. So what you can do is you can huddle everybody together right here, and then you can switch this mercy. Hold on, you can switch this mercy really quick to a Lucio. Make sure everybody's in that little aura, 5 in aura. As soon as those gates flow down, you hit the speed boost, your team will be flying out, and as that's happening, this Mercy switches back to Mercy, and then uses her ability to kind of catch up. So it gives you that extra bit of couple seconds to either decide where you're going or whatever. So it's not really a popular thing that people are doing right now, but it doesn't hurt anything. Um, it just makes you get to the point faster. So that's kind of a little tip here and there. Like I said, it doesn't hurt anything. I have no problem with the composition right now. Whether or not you do that strategy, that's up to you. So neither wrong nor right. That's just a little bit of a boost that can give you 2-3 seconds. And like I said, whoever gets to the point first establishes footing. Um, Now, if you're going up against a team that you know does that, then you have to do that. So, and I commend, I applaud more Venus. She talks a lot. Heard her comms. She talks a lot about the other team as far as what they would run because she knows X runs this. So in these comms, I hear they wouldn't run a Pharah because they have no one that runs a Pharah, and that's really good. But also keep in mind that these are people you've played against, and try to come up with a strategy as well as for when you don't know. Always try to come into like a scrim as not knowing, because you'll learn a little bit about yourselves when you come in doing that. Because if you come in, oh, where I'm not expecting a Pharah. Well, now that profiles can be set to private, and whether or not tournaments will require you to do something different is a question. We have to start looking at, well, in the perfect scenario, what are they running? They're probably running the same thing we are, so let's prepare for that. So that's kind of just a little tidbit to start up the match.
Five, four, three, two, one. Round one. Capture the objective.
just a little interjection. You see those initial Zarya bubbles that come out here and here. Not necessarily the greatest thing to do. I do want to add before I continue that I only heard Venus's comms. I'm not sure what's going on as far as the other team, so please take whatever I say with a grain of salt. Like if I say something and you called something different in your comms or heard something different or whatever, just please take it with a grain of salt. I'm not like an all-knowing guru as far as what's going on in your comms in each one of your guys' heads. I coach Arcadian, and I know exactly how each of them one plays, and I know what they're thinking. So I'm going to try to avoid assuming knowing what you're thinking, and I'm just going to commentate on what I see. And if what I see is not reality, just take it with a grain of salt. So anyway, these two first ones that you see, I'm not really sure. So what this does is this just tells me as the friendly team that you have a Zarya. Doesn't do anything for you, doesn't charge your ult, doesn't do anything. All you now told me is that you have a Zarya, and that could be really crucial for me if I needed to know that. So that's kind of one of the little bits. And plus, there's, even if you're just coming out of spawn, there's no one going to be here, even if it's cheeky. But I'm trying to like coach this moment right here as a serious moment, because in any tourney, you give out information before it's needed to give out, and it could be the end of your run right here. So just be careful with releasing abilities like this into basically nothing, because there wouldn't have been anyone to charge your ult. No one's getting there that fast. And even if they are using that little Lucio trick I showed with a Mercy, they wouldn't have been standing there. So just a little bit tidbit. Okay, so I really like what blue team is doing right here, because you see this team go here, and you see the blue team go this way. Oh. So you see red team go this way, and you see blue team go this way. So right now, the biggest lane, and I have like 1 or 2 videos on my Arcadian Overwatch YouTube channel that explains a little bit about lanes, and I'll be glad to answer more. So right now, the biggest lane right here is this really big one right here. It goes from all the way over there, and of course to here. So this is the giant lane. So all the fighting is happening in between here, and if I could see on the other side, here. Now, what your Pharah does really well, and that's why you want a Pharah on this map, is that she creates a break in this lane now. Now she has her own lane, and now, in order to deal with this Pharah, you have to get her out of the sky. So effectively what she's doing is she's making this team pick between this big one and this lane. What should have happened, and this is something I ding Arcadian for, what should have happened on the red team is not this. Oh, let me get my arrow. It should have happened is in here, and what shouldn't have happened was push up. Because the blue team established this point. This is theirs. You are effectively coming to them. So you are moving while they are like countering you. So for blue team, this is awesome. You want this. You're making them move to you, and you're making like they're ignoring the Pharah that's right here. So that's, you're not doing anything about the Pharah. So what should have happened on the red team side was should have gone in here, realized that there was a Pharah, and you should have stayed in here and fought from here, shooting into here. So trying to kind of like poke out the Pharah. Now you're saying, well, I'm giving up point presence, but right now, pushing forward just gives this Pharah anything to do with you, boop you off, all kinds of things. But anyway, continue on. And as you see, inability to do anything about the Pharah makes Shamrock fall, ultimately. So we have a Hanzo trying to deal with... He's over here if you watch the video. He's right over here. Trying to deal with this Pharah right here. He hasn't gotten her. You're down a Genji. So now all you have for damage... Oh, now you're down a Zarya. And you're still over there. So now all you have for damage in this room, right here, is Mercy, Zen, and Rein. Unless you can get the Pharah, but even then you're still down 2 on the Genji and the Zarya. So right now the fight is 3v1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you have a 6th one right over here somewhere. So 3v6. Choosing to do this right here is saying you're letting your team fight 3v6. That doesn't end well for anybody, even if you get the Pharah, because now it's 5v3, and that's still an advantage for the blue team. So while you might have been trying to get the Pharah, you didn't. And your team ultimately plays for that, because now they have this whole just 6 people just firing down into this lane, and they can't get out of it. And you'll see what happens. You're able to get the Vegeta, but like I said, it doesn't matter. You're still fighting with 5v3. So your Rein goes down. And then they just res the Vegeta. And this kill ultimately doesn't matter. So you're still fighting a 5v3. 6v3, sorry. Mercy goes down. I do want to speak to the blue team. Again, I don't know what we're going on in comms. Someone had to see this. He was firing for a while. Just make sure you're saying something about it, because what happens, and you'll see later on, he stays there for a while. What you could have done is walked up here and killed him and staggered him. So just make sure someone had heard of it, someone had seen it, anyone. Like, you guys are literally standing right by him. You can see him shooting, and you'll see. So Mercy goes down. Soldier's able to get away. A little bit more aggressive on the push would have been nice from the blue team. So Truth actually sees the Zenyatta because he's shooting him. So, again, I don't know what's going on in columns, but staggering the Zenyatta is going to work wonders. And what happens is that he stays alive and he's able to get a Discord orb onto the Pharah on the blue team. And, of course, the soldier, with the assistance of the Discord, is able to take him out headshot. So, be a little more careful. I feel like if we would have been a little bit more aggressive on this push, we could have gone all the way wrapped around, gotten the Zen, gotten back, and done this really quickly. Ultimately, maybe avoiding this kill. Maybe not. Maybe Shamrock just really good at taking that far out and doesn't need the assistance of it. Doesn't need the assistance of it. So, anyway, just try to look out for that. Okay, so big one. I ding Arcadian for all the time. So while I understand what's going on, I might not understand what this thinking behind this is. And like I said, I don't hear comms. I don't see anything. If this was me shot calling on your end, this could have been an actual thing. Like, I could have actually called this right here. Like, I'm not joking. Like, I could have said, Ryan, I want you to stand alone or on the right side. But I understand people aren't crazy, and like, there's a method to the madness. But I'm guessing you're not wanting to sacrifice your Reinhardt just by the way that you guys really play well behind your Reinhardt. So I'm guessing that wasn't a call. And somebody needs to tell Reinhardt. If you notice Reinhardt, again, I have to keep interjecting this because sometimes when I do these things, people get defensive, and that's okay. But someone has to say, Ryan, where are you at? Ryan, why are you the hell way over there? We are way over here. What's going on, bud? That kind of thing. So, if right now he's blocking only damage for himself while you guys are over here. So, just take kind of that consideration as far as kind of keeping track where everybody's at. Maybe Tabulous didn't hear the call to go to the point. Maybe this is a legitimate strategy. But either way, there needs to be some kind of structure behind this, because right now we have here, here, and here. So we get the Hanzo. So now, not wrong. Could have been more correct if Ryan hadn't needed to use his charge to get way back over here. I'm not saying that's wrong. I'm just saying if he had been with you guys, he could have had that charge. And you guys know as well as I do, seconds count. If he needed that charge right now, he wouldn't have had it. So just a little bit of tidbit. And okay, so we already established kind of this Hanzo trying to kill the Pharah off their own lane. Should have been a little prepared for that. Luckily enough for you, you have this res. But just make sure to keep this in mind. A lot of people try to go out of their way to get somebody like this, and if you just stand a little bit more this way or fight a little bit more in the back, he's effectively doing nothing except just closing down this lane right here, which you don't really need right now because you're fighting this lane. So just kind of keep that in mind about closing and opening lanes. You don't really need this one open. He can go ahead and close it, and if he closes it and stays over here, he's effectively doing nothing. So just keep that in mind. Let's rewind that a little bit. So they push deep inside to you. And Rein battle happening right around here. Your Rein goes down. I think it could have been avoided if you had more damage going in instead of this far out here. But that may have been a cause of the Hanzo kind of zoning her out that way. So keep that in mind. Their Transcendence effectively keeps them alive. Our Valk comes out on the blue team, able to keep the Brigitte alive. Reses the Zarya. So we effectively just turn the fight around. We're sort of even right now. And we're able to, I've seen this rest of this, and we're able to retake this. Normally, you don't want to play on luck. This is kind of what I call a high risk, high reward situation. And if you feel confident you can do this, do it. But if you fail, you take a lot. You're effectively feeding ult charge. You're using your abilities. We don't have Valk. There's a lot of ifs and ands and what happens, and it's all about what happens after it. If you don't do your, if you don't succeed, what happens before. It's try not to get used to these kinds of situations where you are trying to fight this with luck, or if you know you're going to win. Sometimes people get lucky picks. Had you lost faster, had there been a little bit more focus fire from the red side, this 32 would have been maybe like 10, 15. This would have been 0. Tabbies is down. This would have been a lot less. So just take that into consideration. This team over here lacks a little bit of focus fire. So that's why you over here don't die like you should. I was watching this the first time around, and I was actually expecting you to die, and you didn't, and I was really surprised. And then I looked back, and it just lack of focus fire from the red side. And you can see it happening. Like Zarya's focused on the Zarya, that Hanzo was focused on the. It was really sloppy. There was no focus fire. You send out and it works in your favor. I'm not gonna knock you for that. It works. I'm just trying to point out that be careful, basically. Not saying it's wrong. Not saying it's the best thing. I'm just saying be careful in those situations. That you're able to read those things. Okay, so what happens here? It's just we get a little too aggressive. I don't know if we communicated what we wanted happening. You guys usually do a really good job of staying behind the shield. Make sure you stay behind it. I actually really want to point out, I really like this positioning for the Mercy. Really like it. Usually Mercies like to be up here. I really like this. Use that length, that full length of your beam to maneuver around, and I've already congratulated and just kind of kudos to Venus on that, and just really well handled of her micros as far as the length of her beam being all the way out, her positioning. It's really well. So what I want to point out right now is shield. Right now the biggest lane that we are working with is this right here, this big one. So giant lane. Of course you have another one from right here to right here, and right here to right here, which the red team is actually using really effectively, and you'll see because they have this right here, and it's effectively blocking all this damage. But I want you to see what happens when I do that to your shield. You're blocking this much damage. So anything behind here, and of course these buildings are protecting me. So right now Bob is a little bit out of position, and what's going to happen is that you'll see so little miscommunication. We have to know Rein. Yes, Rein has to be first, but in situations like this, when your team is now they're just blocking all your damage, and they're effectively just, you have a Brigitte shield, you have this, and again Venus doing really well job as far as reading the situation. Had she been standing right here, there would have been a problem, but she understands that there's a lot happening here. So this is perfect positioning. I really like it. So right now there's a slight disconnect right here, where we have the Brigitte standing right here and there. Based on Brigitte's kit, neither of this and Zarya's kit, neither of these two are doing anything to the shield, and if they are, it's just going to get healed up like that. So okay, so we're trying to go for the Rein, and we get lucky and get the soldier, so that's good. Now what should have happened right here, and if you saw, is all these people should have gone. So let me mark where your Rein is at. Not with white. With blue. So your Reins are here. As soon as he charged in from here to here, everybody should have gone. Everybody should have gone. Just full force at them. But what happens is that we have Rein that charges in. Zarya's kind of staggering in because, you know, she's got a little movement. And all these other people, so do they. So you trade back and forth, able to get a res off back on your Rein. That's really good. Red Zarya is a little bit out of position, and then you're able to kind of turn that tide. I got totally confused, turn backwards, but anyway, you're able to turn this tide, just because the red team wasn't aggressive enough back at you. I don't think that they were kind of probably like taken back as far as how aggressive you were. And this is really good aggression because I remember seeing this from Venus' side. So this is really good as far as like you being aggressive. Just remember to not overstay your welcome, because the longer you're here without killing anyone is meaning you're feeding ult. And what happens is you overstay your welcome a little bit too long, and you're able to, and you aren't able to stay for as long as you want. Red team, don't fight on point. It's just the other enemy team has a lot of angles they can come at you from, so just be kind of conscious of that. So make sure you pick somewhere where you're going to defend. A zoning dragon, that's good. A little unlucky on that end. Nice shatter, really good shatter. Wish there was a little bit more follow up on that. Just be conscious of when you hear that shatter, your mode should switch to offensive, and that's why they're able to kind of take back into that, because you aren't able to take down the Rein, and they're able to come back with ults of their own. So right now what should be going on in your comms is what everybody used a lot. So you're using what use Hanzo, you're getting that pretty quickly. You can use that against zone. You have a Zarya ult. Maybe you're waiting for that dragons, which is good. Just make sure you don't baby that a little bit too long. If you see an opportunity, it's better to take it. So you get that, and then the dragons come out. Really good combo. Just really popular combo. It's nothing that is not to be expected. So, and that's also why you don't want to fight on point. Don't really have any places to go once you're getting surrounded like that. So you're always wanting to pick a side and stick to it. So you choose to defend this place again. I think the second time was a little bit more sloppier than the first, I think. So right now the second time was a little bit sloppier. That's what I remember. Not necessarily. I don't necessarily agree with those dragons unless you're gonna switch. Fight was already lost. Don't really think you should be throwing those out from that far. Just really nice shot from Bob and unlucky. Nice thing behind that. Didn't really comment on the Brigitte to Zen switch, just because I feel like you guys understood that that was a really good switch. The reason is because close quarter combat versus long range in that Discord is just really good. And right here it's just battable ults and who has more and who doesn't, and you do, and you win. And that's how you win these fights. Who has more ults and who can use them better.